Let's get it.
New tonight from the NBC5 Chicago investigative team, an El Chapo doubleheader for you. First, the outrageous request in a new handwritten letter from the notorious drug lord. And second, fresh questions about whether the drug kingpin has been trying to run his drug cartel from inside America's most secure prison, the Supermax. Our investigative reporter Chuck Gowdy joining us in studio now with late details on both. Chuck.
Allison, there has never been an escape from the Colorado Supermax prison since it opened in 1994. Tonight, the incarcerated drug magnate known as El Chapo had an escape plan, but not the daring kind he previously used to break out of jail in Mexico, a contraband motorcycle through a secret tunnel. El Chapo's new plan to escape America's most secure prison was simply to ask for officials to hold open the door for him. Joaquin El Chapo Guzman became a billionaire running the Sinaloa drug cartel in Mexico that federal law enforcement agents say is still responsible for the lion's share of all illicit drug sales in Chicago. A decade ago, El Chapo was caught in a firefight in Mexico, extradited to the U.S. and sentenced to life in prison, here at the nation's Supermax, top security prison in Colorado, where no one has ever escaped in more than 30 years of operation. Now, in a series of new pen and paper letters from El Chapo himself, the world's premier drug trafficker claims his jailhouse treatment is inhumane.
Look at all that English, boy.
His conviction wrongful, and he's asking to be deported and allowed to serve his life sentence in Mexico. Chapo's trial judge, Brian Cogan, is a Chicago native and graduate of University of Illinois. In this ruling on Tuesday, New York Judge Cogan says Chapo's documents make no sense and none of them have legal merit. Request denied.
He's in a United States prison, and he's not happy about it. And obviously, he tried to write a letter to the judge, and it was shut down like it should be.
Mike Gannon is a former top official at the Drug Enforcement Administration Chicago Division. Gannon and I talked about this new report by a Mexican news agency that claims El Chapo has managed to communicate with his sons from the U.S. Supermax prison, quoting a confidential report last year from the U.S. Bureau of Prisons. Two of Chapo's sons are charged in Chicago and in federal custody here.
Yeah, I mean, Chuck, that doesn't surprise me one bit. Just like the way these drug traffickers and people like El Chapo operate, they look for any vulnerability they can, and they're criminals, and they're going to do anything they can with any vulnerability that's exposed to them. So it's no surprise to me he's trying to get messages back to, what's alleged with family members, and other people are even trying to make threats.
Listen, you could put a criminal in a cage, but you're not gonna. That's his job. His job is to try to get out that motherfucker. Your job is to keep him in. Your job is for there not to be no leaks in him communicating. That's your job. He's doing his job.
Confidential Bureau of Prisons report last year found that El Chapo had used an intermediary to deliver coded messages to his adult children regarding their ongoing criminal enterprise.
See, they barely got to that piece of the story right here. They got all this El Chapo escape plan. Listen, even the Channel 5 News, all clickbait. El Chapo's escape plan. Let me write letters and open the door. And now right here at the end, in this last 10, 15, 30 seconds or whatever, he speaks on the communications between him and his children. This whole time it's been about these letters.
Used an intermediary to deliver coded messages to his adult children regarding their ongoing criminal enterprise. That was said to have happened despite El Chapo being held under an ongoing and exceedingly...
Okay, well, they said a year ago. Why is it news today? All of the things that I heard about this story through my peripheral, because I was doing things and I couldn't really pay attention to it, and I don't like to watch these things until I'm here with y'all. Everybody that's pushing this story has been selling it as he's talking to his children that are in prison right now. Chuck Gowdy just made it seem like he's talking to his children that were free. So I feel like everybody's clickbaiting the shit in a different way. And not just this story, every single story. And I guess that's the name of the game, but it seems very psyop-y. Like, marketing is already a trick. They're just taking it to the next level. Just let me lie to you.
Strict special lockdown. Prison agency officials tonight have not responded to NBC Chicago questions about the reported breach or whether anyone has been disciplined.
I'd be out of pocket if I read this shit with an accent. All right, this is to the U.S. District Judge Court, Theodore Roosevelt, United States Courthouse. Extradition release. April 23rd, 2026. Hi.
Amigo.
To the District Court of Brooklyn, my name is Joaquin Guzman, that are fighting for an extradition release back to Mexico. Underline Mexico, just in case you missed it. And today, I've wrote several letters on the fairness of my appeal on the next date to get an equal treatment of the law. This is a polite letter on my violation to the courts on the hardcore evidence that wasn't proven for my case dismissed. This is a polite letter. I could have called you and said,
your services are no longer needed in the community.
I could have said,
no mommy's wait.
I could have called you names and told you I was going to tie you to a tree and boil you. But this is a polite letter on my violation to the courts on the hardcore evidence that wasn't proven for my case dismissed. I'm asking the district courts of my rights to be request back to my country and charges on the violation of my verdict for fairness in the federal law. During my completion of my appeal has been met for a new trial, I'm also the partios, it's a new cereal, y'all, partios, of both country can emerge the policy together on getting me back to my country. AKA, figure it out, get your fucking shine box.
Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
And get me home, bro. I'm trying to come home. Thanks to the U.S. District Judge of Brooklyn of this request, Joaquin Guzman. I don't know if I believe he was communicating with his sons. I think they're saying that so it's easier to dismiss and deny his claims. But I think it's easy for them to dismiss and deny his claims regardless. I feel like everybody is just clickbaiting it. I feel like this is marketing. Somebody hired a PR or somebody's resident PR got to work. That's what it feels like. Let's get the second letter. To the district judge, this is Joaquin Guzman from another country that are asking for documents of my case. On these documents of the USA wasn't proven for my cruel punishment in the district courts of Brooklyn. I'm also asking for my file of the law on seeing how the jury came back with the wrongful violation of the court's deliberation. The verdict of my trial wasn't fair to my foreign policy on having a chance to dismiss my case, on not showing no hardcore evidence for my release. I'm also, over 3 years to my appeal has been met for a new trial on my Unseen Act law of the United States. Thanks to the judge on accepting my letter request or sending official documents on changing my verdict. Joaquin Guzman. Hi, my name is Joaquin from the country of Mexico that fights for my protection policy on getting my signature release on the wrongful verdict of the Eastern Courts. I'm writing on my behalf of the court's law that violated my evidence policy that was not hardcore for my wrongful conviction. The court lasted days of the judge and the judicial standpoint on seeking my case to be dismissed when it shows lack of evidence. I'm also on the extradite to America gave my country no authority to Mexico on keeping me housed in my own country where I was treated fairly while incarcerated. So fairly that they let your ass walk out, dig tunnels, do all kind of shit. Boy, you treated all kind of fair over there. Hit that like button if you have yet to do so. This is a polite, I didn't say fuck you. This is a polite letter to the district courthouse of the federal laws of the First Amendment to the Eighth Amendment was violated in the Brooklyn District Courts on my fairness. Thanks to the district court on my next appeal policy to be released on the Unseen Act of America was not proved from my deliberation. Now, this is why Judge Kogan said, I don't understand. He didn't say that. He said, it doesn't make sense and it has no law, function. Nothing.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
That's basically what he told him. All right? No Nintendo is what Judge Kogan had to say about that. 4/17/26, letter dated 4/9/26 from Joaquin to the appeal court. Letter dated 4/23, letter dated 4/20. So he did all this in a week. His writing changed a whole lot in a week, back and forth. He wrote letters, big deal. What did I tell you guys, man? News cycle. He could have farted. They would have told a story about it. He wrote letters in English Maybe he got a little chat GPT going on. Chat GPT would have misspelled more things in there, though. I think shit would have been more fucked up. But so what? He wrote letters. He's been writing letters for years. Bro, the news cycle is some bullshit. Make a story out of everything.
Despite being held in one of the most secure prisons in the world, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman is once again raising international alarm. A recent report by the United States Bureau of Prisons reveals that the former leader
You see? He's raising national alarm.
of the Sinaloa cartel has managed to maintain communication with his children from inside prison. According to the report, the Cap used visits from his lawyers as a direct channel to send messages through intermediaries. Ali Secouza, these communications allegedly reached his children, known as the Chapitos, who are currently involved.
I tell you this, they knew about this before yesterday. They dropped this information, maybe Monday? They knew about this, right? To me, this is public relations. To me, this is marketing. To me, this might be right to what Xavier said. I don't believe he was communicating with his sons. That I don't believe. I do believe he was communicating with his sons. I believe they knew it. I'm talking about why was it news yesterday? It was news because he wrote another letter, and this is them telling him, shut the fuck up. That's what I feel like. This is more of a, listen, you might as well stop writing because we on your ass. Because they have this information. It ironically drops the day he sends all of these letters in English and shit. It just feels like something they had in the can and they say, you know what, drop it on his ass today para que se calle la fucking boca. Shut up. Coño, man.
Coño, man.
What's weird is that this is supposedly what the BOP said, but the prosecutors didn't say it. Just feels like public relations. Toma para que se calle. All right, take his pens away from him. Don't give him no feathers, nothing. Because he didn't talk to them in prison. Let's not keep pushing that because that's what all these websites is pushing. That there was inter-prison contact between them. Like it's happening right now. This is a year ago. The investigation ended a year ago, so who knows how long it was. He could write a letter to Santa Claus this winter, and it's going to be news. These guys need news. Sometimes I don't even edit these stories because they weren't really news. It's definitely still a hot news topic because, as you can tell, everybody in the news runs for it. He turns over and sleeps on his left side. They want to make a news story out of it. How would he talk to free sons? Too much risk. A risk they say he already took. Risk to what? That he never leave a prison cell, that he's never going to leave anyway? He's willing to risk it all to change that fate, no? But my question is, did they just release this information this week just because they knew they could get some clicks out of it because he wrote a letter and they want to tell him to shut the fuck up? Build that man his own prison. Shit. Not here. Escobar couldn't have done that shit here. Yeah, the how was easy through his attorney. Son's location. Well, listen, if the investigation ended a year ago, who knows how long they were investigating? Who knows when he was talking to them? Who knows if Joaquin was still in the streets? Who knows if Ovidio was still in the streets? We know the other two are still free. He could have been talking back then. That was what they did. They spoke through lawyers and intermediaries. It just is what it is, my friend. I would say for most calls from the U.S. to Sinaloa regions are monitored by the feds. We're not talking calls, man. You're talking signals. We're talking about letters. We're talking about word of mouth from a lawyer to a doctor to a friend to a cousin to, We're talking about straight up meeting between the lawyer and the person that the message is supposed to go to because only he is supposed to hear about that shit.